Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the St. Louis Blues 5-2. This is their first 3-game losing streak of the season. Now, technically, because they got a point in that first game against Montreal, it doesn't really go down as a 3-game losing streak. It's kind of somewhat considered 2, but this is like overall the first time that they have, basically left the arena as losers. And they are not playing great hockey. They didn't play terribly. They didn't. And Binnington outplayed Igor. And the Rangers have been getting out goalied lately. Igor, there's some he's going to want to have back. It's not that the goals were necessarily horrible. You're just looking for a few more big saves, which you're not getting. So I think that, look, Igor deserves blame. I'm not trying to, I feel like I've been kind of touching upon the same thing lately, but it still feels like there's too many high quality chances, even though the shot counts are low. I think it's twofold. I think it's team wide, and I think it's the goaltending. I think it's both. What didn't help this game is Mika Zibanejad was a late scratch, and I think he's dealing with the flu. I think that's what it was. He didn't practice yesterday. He tried to give it a go in warm-ups and just couldn't do it, and so it put the Rangers in a spot where they had 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, so Zach Jones was in. Also of note, Brennan Othmann was sent down, which I don't disagree. I mean, I wish he got a little bit more of a look because I thought he looked good in the first game, but clearly he's not ready. So it turns out that it ends up being kind of like what I said with Will Cooley last year, where he got a little bit of a taste at this part of the year, but then that was it. It's probably what it's going to be with that as well. And Jake Lecision was called up. So Lecision, who spent some time with the Rangers last year, then he was sent down to Hartford and has basically been there since being called up. I wouldn't expect him to last long for a number of reasons. I think Kakko isn't too far away. Will we see him in this home and home against Washington? Maybe, but if not then, I think certainly next week. But yeah, like just that, you combine all that and it's not great. So Lecision ends up centering. So Bonino moves to left wing. So the lines were all juggled in this game for the fact that Mika was out. So you had 11 forward, 7 defense, and so it was tough. There wasn't a whole lot of continuity, but the idea was it was going to be Bonino on the left wing, Lecision in the middle, and then Brzezinski on the right. So that's like not a great line. And then so like your third line was supposed to essentially be VZ, Goodrow, Wheeler. The idea was to move up Cooley, which I agree. I mean, look, based on your options, I agree with that. I think Cooley has looked all right in comparison to some of the others. The messed up thing is Cooley actually, drew a penalty, which led to a power play goal. But then, like, when it was 6-on-5, who was out there instead of Cooley? Wheeler. So didn't love that. But yeah, like, it's just the Rangers are in a funk right now. And look, Carolina's not that far behind them. I think they're maybe like 3 points behind the Rangers. And so what was once a really big lead, that is really, really, it's slipping away. And the Rangers are at about just almost the halfway point of the season. They are now 26-12-2, which is a really good record, right? I mean, you're on pace for at least 108 points, right? Depending on what you would do in that next game. Like if you win next game, you can, in theory, be on pace for 112. So like the overall record is good, but you got to be a little bit concerned, I think, when you look at this roster and you look at what they're doing. Like the structure is gone. The structure is gone. The Rangers giving up a lot of goals, and in my opinion, for good reason. Jordan Kyrou gets a hat trick tonight for the Blues. He looked fantastic. That line was really good. And the Rangers took too many penalties. Even if you think that they weren't the right calls, Rangers took 3 consecutive penalties, and they eventually were burned by it. And the penalty kill has been good, but the Blues don't even have a good power play, but yet they were able to come through. What is always frustrating, and I'll try to limit it, is Pavel Buchnevich is just a really good player. That was a horrible trade. And I said it at the time, you get Sammy Blais and a second-round pick for Buchnevich. I don't care whatever, in terms of the cap-related reasons that were behind it or whatever you want to say. It just wasn't right. And the Rangers are still struggling to find that spot next to Kreider and Zibanejad. Now, I know if you have Buchnevich, then obviously that's going to take away from some other parts of the team. I get that. So it's not like you can just say, oh, let me fill that in, and then you're just good. It doesn't work like that. But that was a mistake, considering the fact that I really felt like he took a major, major step up in that 2021 season. Because look, to be fair, before that, Buchnevich, there was a lot of inconsistency for like most of his Ranger career, but I really feel like he found it in the last year that he was with the team. David Quinn's last year, that 56-game season, in sort of that weird post-COVID season. And like he was getting penalty kill time. I really felt like he was just finding his game. And to trade him for what they did, that's a great move by the Blues. And so I thought he was really good tonight. And yeah, he ends up hurting the Rangers. So let's get into it, shall we? The Rangers start out with the lead. So things looking good. Adam Fox, who was very active in this game, if nothing else, scores his 5th goal of the season from Goodrow and Lindgren at 1:51. So the Rangers take a 1-0 lead right there. But a quick response from St. Louis. And as I see this play developing, I'm thinking this isn't good. There's too many goals Rangers are giving up where in the transition game, if you want to call it odd man rush, but just the Rangers are struggling to get back and cover their man. And Jordan Kyrou scores his 10th goal of the season from Thomas and Buchnevich. So you can't even celebrate. And look, like, would I have liked Igor to save that one? Yeah, that one, sure. I would have liked him to maybe stop that. But as it's happened, I'm thinking this, before it even goes in, like, this is not good. And as much as I like, the Trocheck line has been one of the major bright spots of the season by far. But defensively, they're not a really good line. And I hate to say it, but it's just the case. So that ties it up at 1. Then Bonino takes a delay game penalty. That's a bad penalty by Bonino at 6:30. So it's like, again, his role is like too much on this team as well. Like, I like what he brings to the table in terms of his face-offs, penalty kill. Like, I think that's all well and good, but it just feels like, I don't know, he really provides next to nothing offensively, which we can say for a lot of the players on this team, especially in the bottom 6. And the Blues score. Kyrou again. So Kyrou's 2nd of the game, 11th of the season from Buchnevich and Thomas. And that makes it 2-1 Blues. We go to the second period. And in the first period, I thought the Rangers played the Rangers had puck possession all game long. It's not like the Rangers played horribly, but when they did, again, we'll talk about the stretch of penalties they took and just the high danger chances that they allowed. And Igor, you're looking for a big save that you're just not getting from him. So second period, Rangers take 3 straight penalties, and the third one finally burns them. Brodzinski's called for holding at 4:10. They kill that off. Goodrow's called for interference at 6:32. They kill that off. Then Trocheck is called for holding at 9:13, and the Blues score on that one. 13 seconds in, Brandon Saad scores his 10th goal of the season from Schenn and Krug. And that makes it 3-1 Blues. So that stings right there. So you go into the third. So Torrey Krug slashes Kreider at 12:52 of the second. Rangers don't score on that power play. So we go to the third period. It's a 3-1 game. And Braden Schenn high 6 count. Andre Miller at 3:55. Jordan Binnington was very good in this game. Jordan Binnington, I thought, was pretty excellent. And Rangers don't score on that power play. Then at 7:01, Kyrou on a breakaway scores the hat-trick goal, 12th of the season from Leddy. Igor was way too far out. He got way too aggressive on this one, and Kyrou beats him. And Kyrou had a lot of chances for a hat-trick, but he finally gets one there. So, again, did not but what was messed up there was it ends up being like a Zach Jones shot from the corner, and I think there was a collision at the blue line, so it was just like no one was back, and Kyrou just goes in all alone. It was messy. I mean, I understand you're down by 2, but you got it that should not have happened. And so Kyrou goes it all alone. But with that said, I thought Igor got way too aggressive on that goal. So that makes it 4-1. Then the Rangers do draw a penalty. Will Cooley is slashed by Robert Thomas, and the Rangers do score on this power play. It's Trocheck, his 13th of the season from Kreider and Panarin. That makes it 4-2 at 10:58. Rangers, there was some chances. They pull the goalie fairly early, but ultimately, Pavel Buchnevich puts this game on ice He scores the empty net goal, his 13th of the season from Sundqvist and Parayko at 1942, and the Blues win 5-2. It's been a similar theme lately for the Rangers. It's not for lack of offensive opportunity, but I really hate their defensive game. I think certain individuals have really slipped in terms of in terms of what they've done, whether it be forwards or defensemen. I feel like Jacob Trouba, it's been a rough go for him of late. And I know for him, there might be some off the ice stuff going on for him as well. I think he missed practice. I think the last couple, they called up Matthew Robertson briefly, but they sent him back down when Trouba was good to go. But yeah, I mean, throwing Zach Jones, the lineup was horrible in this game. Again, you take Mika out, that's a really, really big loss, regardless of how he's played. Like, that's tough to overcome, unfortunately. So, Rangers lose. This is certainly results-wise, the worst they've been all season. Maybe you could argue not necessarily with how they've played, but now, and the Blues were coming off of a loss. That's always a key thing to me. The Blues were coming off of a loss in this game. They lost at home to the Panthers. Now, the next game, it's a home-and-home, 2 matinee games against the Caps. Washington tonight lost home against the Kraken. Now, that shouldn't matter. The Rangers are coming off 3 straight losses. So, what'll be interesting is this is it for the Capitals season series. The Rangers at Washington got shut out. And then the Rangers home against Washington, a game I went to, played really well. So now what gives? I guess if the past is any predictor, they'll split these 2 games, but it'll be interesting. The first one will be at Washington. It's a 1 o'clock national TV game. And then the second one will be at Madison Square Garden. And so these games could get a little bit feisty because they have played each other recently, and because, again, it's divisional and it's 2 quick games. So these games could have some more intensity. For the Rangers' sake, I certainly hope so. And of course, you're going to get Igor in one of them and Quick in the other. That much I know. So again, Rangers lose again. They fall in St. Louis 5-2.